Before there was a church, there was a fire. Before there was a Bible, there was a sky. We made the stars before they had a name for them. We built in stone before they knew why. Every philosopher who sailed to learn sat at our feet and took notes. We taught them how to count the days. We taught them how to wash. We taught them how to hope. They came with a book and called it light, but we were burning long before that night. They named our wisdom superstition, called our gods primitive, but every road they built led back to us. We were always the source. Before the leaving and the loss, we were always the source. Before the ships and the cross, you can steal the story, rewrite every page, but the blood remembers what they tried to erase. We were always the source. 1 in 43 people breathing right now carries Nigerian blood in their chest. 2 billion scattered across this earth, still the most resilient, still the best. They brought our God to break us, we made our God our own. They tried to burn the altar, we rebuilt it in our bones. The pyramid's still standing after everything they tried. The doggone knew the stars before their telescopes arrived. You cannot kill a knowing that lives inside the skin. We were never who they said we were. We never have been. We were always the source. Before the leaving and the loss, we were always the source. Before the ships and the cross, you can steal the story, rewrite every page, but the blood remembers what they tried to erase. We were always the source. Every human being alive traces back to African soil, East Africa. The oldest bones, the oldest knowing, the oldest fire they left and forgot where they came from and called that forgetting civilization. But we remember. We remember. The source never dried up. We remember. We just have to find our way back. We remember. We were always the
Okay. We were always the source. I have heard this song probably 40 times now, and I still get chills at the bridge. But let's start at the beginning. The very first line is, "Before there was a church, there was a fire." Tell me about that line.
That line is the entire thesis of the song in 9 words. Humanity's first relationship with the sacred did not happen in a building. It happened around a fire. In Africa. The oldest evidence of controlled fire use, of ritual, of symbolic thought, all of it is African. So before any organized religion existed anywhere, African people were already gathering, already in relationship with something larger than themselves. The fire came first. Everything else is commentary.
The fire came first. See, that is why I cannot be friends with regular people anymore. Okay, the chorus says you can steal the story, rewrite every page, but the blood remembers. What does the blood remember exactly?
This is going to sound mystical, but it is actually quite literal. Every human being carries African genetic ancestry. That is not poetry. That is mitochondrial DNA. The migration patterns, the lineages, they are written into every cell of every person alive. So when colonizers rewrote history books, they could change what was taught, but they could not change what was true at the cellular level. The blood remembers means the evidence was never destroyed. It was just ignored. It lives in our bodies.
And then there is the line. 1 in 43 people breathing right now carries Nigerian blood in their chest. That is a real statistic?
Real and verified. Nigeria is roughly 2.85% of the global population, 6th most populous nation on Earth. One single African country accounts for 1 out of every 43 humans alive. And when you widen that to the full African diaspora, you are approaching 2 billion people. I put that number in the song because abstraction does not move people. Specificity does. 1 in 43 is something you can hold.
The bridge is spoken word. You drop the melody entirely and just speak. Why?
Because some truths should not be decorated. The bridge says every human being alive traces back to African soil, East Africa, the oldest bones, the oldest knowing. When I say that, I do not want a melody softening it or making it easier to consume. I want it to land the way evidence lands, plain, undeniable. The melody comes back after, but for that moment I wanted the listener and the truth alone in a room together.
There is a softness to this song that is different from your other work. It is powerful, but it is not angry. Was that intentional?
Completely. Anger has its place, and there are songs that carry it. But this song is about something underneath the anger. It is about the settledness that comes when you finally know where you stand in the human story. When you know you are the source, you do not need to shout it. The pyramids do not shout. They just stand there, being 4,500 years old. This song is meant to feel like that, like something that has been true so long it does not need to raise its voice.
The outro repeats, the source never dried up. We just had to find our way back. Find our way back to what?
To ourselves. The knowledge systems, the spiritual frameworks, the confidence, the sense of cosmic belonging, none of it was destroyed. It was buried. Buried under colonial education, under shame that was deliberately manufactured, under generations of being told our origins were primitive. Finding our way back is not about living in the past. It is about standing on it. You build taller when you know how deep your foundation goes.
Last question. Someone hears this song one time, driving, windows down. What is the one thing you want to stay with them after it ends?
That they come from the oldest, deepest root of the human family. Not metaphorically, actually. And that nothing anyone has ever said or done changes that fact. You were always the source. You do not have to earn it. You just have to remember it.